Hey, what's up? Today I'll be taking a break from my vodka bender to bring you the 12th installment in my series going over the Death Note anime and manga. If you remember from last episode, we just ended the Yotsuba arc with Higuchi getting captured on the freeway by both the task force and a small group from the police force. Now, these next two episodes are not only great conclusions to what the series has been building up to, but the second episode is hands down the best episode of the show and maybe the best episode of anime. Well, there's also the end of Evangelion and that one fight scene in Tokyo Ghoul, so definitely top 5 for sure. Also, I have a couple volumes of Tokyo Ghoul, and it's the show that got me into anime, so while I'm not sure if there's any differences between the anime and manga like Death Note, I've been thinking about doing a series over it once I'm done with Death Note. It'll either be that or something over Black Lagoon, because Light's voice actor is also the main character in that.
There's probably no one who'd believe me, but I've become a pirate of the South Seas.
Anyway, I think I've been stalling for long enough, so let's go ahead and get right into these absolute gems of episodes. We pick up right where we left off with Higuchi's capture on the freeway. Higuchi gets a headset put on him and he gets interviewed about how he kills, and Higuchi didn't even need McDonald's to snitch. He immediately tells the task force about the notebook, and we get right into the action with various task force members touching the notebook and reacting to Rem.
What is it, Mr. Yagami?
It's a long-legged pissed-off Puerto Rican!
Don't panic. Remember, you're not currently armed to defend yourself.
When the Death Note makes its way to L, we get a great scene of him being presented with actual proof that gods of death exist, and Light breaks his gooning streak.
Nerf this!
I am under the water. Please help me.
Are you okay, Light?
With the Death Note back to its original owner, we get a flashback sequence in the Lost Woods where we get to hear what Light's plan really was.
Now that notebook's ownership has been transferred. That notebook's ownership has been transferred from you to the...
Listen!
Okay, Ryuk, take the notebook and drop it on the ground so it's in the human world again.
After hearing all the juicy details behind the scheme, we get the important fact that Light will only have the memories while holding the Death Note until Higuchi dies. So of course that means Light has to whip out the James Bond watch.
Heroin's got great personality.
With Higuchi dead, Light is officially Kira once more, and the hype train has just entered the station.
The old Union Pacific doesn't come by here much anymore.
We cut to the task force awkwardly sitting around with Rem inspecting the Death Note and its various rules.
How to use it.
Missionary with your feet clammed into the headboard. From the back with your face in the pillow so you can yell as loud as you want to. On the floor, on the chair, over here, over there. Do you want it in your pussy? Do you want it in your ass? I can give you anything you can handle.
There are also some extra rules in the back of the book that Light had Ryuk add, and this ensures the book's safety. One of the added rules is about the user dying after 13 days if the user doesn't continue to use the book, and with this added rule, Light and Misa are officially ruled out as being the first Kiras.
Wait a second. If that's true, then it means Light and Misa are completely clear, doesn't it?
Talk louder, motherfucker!
L also asks Rem if there are any other notebooks and if the rules are all the same, and Rem gives a milquetoast answer.
There's more than one notebook in the human world, isn't there?
Who knows? There may be and there may not be.
Hey, Peter, you want to see my paginas? I don't know.
A very subtle detail is L stacking the coffee creamer during the conversation, but after talking to Rem, he stopped stacking it, and if I were to put on my tinfoil hat, I would say that this is the moment L knows he's lost. I very well could be off base with this analysis, but theories are fun, and that's kinda what this whole series is about. But L stacking his food and playing with it is like a physical manifestation of his urge to solve things. Like, stacking is going from one thing to the next and ending up with the tower, and it's like each coffee creamer was a piece of evidence or a suspect, and he would go from A to B to C until he would have a full picture. But with the added rules and the lack of help from Rem, L knows he's lost the game, so why continue to build the tower? It's also why I think he apologizes to Light. Like, L would say something to the effect of, well, it was shitty, but we had to know. Again, I very well could just be talking about my ass, but when watching this series, there is a point when L knows he's lost. I just think that this is the exact moment. Getting back to the anime, Light asks to stay on the task force, and we get a Spider-Man 3 monologue from Light.
No matter what the world, the god of that world creates the rules. In truth, you've already been defeated by the rules I created, and as punishment for defying the god of the new world, you will die.
Are you mad? Do you feel like Woods kebabs right French? Get French
While Light is saying goodbye to Misa, he lets her know that he got his memories back, and he asks her to dig up her death note. After Misa gets her memories back, she finds a note that Light left, and he asks Misa to remember L's real name and write it down in the death note, then take some extra pages and touch Light with him the next time they meet. There's only one problem with this plan, though.
I don't remember his name anymore.
Ryuk also makes his return, and he's just as great as when we left him.
How are you doing?
Sorry,
Woo! That looked painful. Gravity a bitch, huh?
He even brought Misa an apple from the Shinigami realm.
It's sand!
I don't like sand.
Misa asks Ryuk to make the eye deal again, and Ryuk reminds her that she's already made the deal once, so her already halved lifespan will be halved again. Cutting back to the task force, Misa is showing up to visit, and Rem notices that Ryuk is with her and she made the eye deal again. It's also nice to see that Light is seemingly genuinely upset with Misa for making the eye deal because he wants to live a long life with her.
Misa, all I want is to enjoy a long life with you in an ideal world. That's just how I feel.
We end this episode with Elle watching over the security cameras as the new age Bonnie and Clyde are formed. I guess that would make Ryuk Henry Malvin, but Henry was a chump that got arrested for dying and dashing. Who's Henry Malvin, I hear you asking? Well, he was the third wheel and probably Bonnie's bull. Yeah, Clyde had some issues raising the flag, and Blue Chew wouldn't be invented for another few hundred years, so instead he just used a really big gun to compensate.
Nice, he's trying to get away. Boy.
Anyway, history lesson over. Let's get on to the next episode. Now, this next episode just can't be done justice in the YouTube format, and what I mean by that is that this episode is very slow and quiet, which is a style I love, but it's something that YouTube hates. Well, more specifically, it's something that the YouTube copyright bot hates, and I've managed to avoid it using a watermark, but I'm not trying to test my luck. So if you haven't seen this episode, I'm not only giving you permission, but demanding that you leave this video and watch the episode, then come back and finish the video. Even if you have seen it, go and watch it again. It's only 20 minutes, it won't kill you. Alright, either you're back from watching the best episode of the series, or you're about to settle for Applebee's instead of going to Longhorn Steakhouse.
Gonna do the dessert.
Oh my gosh, I am.
It's okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna go a little bit off menu, if that's alright, and then just get a couple skinless mozzarella sticks with a chocolate drizzle.
Skinless?
We open this episode with scenes from what looked to be a boarding home of some sorts, accompanied by the screams of children, before seeing a young Elle and a younger Watari standing at the gates. After fading back into present day, we see L going up to Watari like a child who just had a nightmare.
What's wrong?
We then cut to L making small talk with Rem, and L tells Light that he doesn't have to stay at the tower all day anymore, and Light responds with the classic "Pussy can wait" before we see a great scene.
Even if I'm far away and alone, I can be sure that you'll find me there. This I know.
Like, this whole episode is that Homelander meme.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Like Misa singing the song, what the song is about, the visuals, the editing. It's scenes like this that make me want to point out when the anime did it better. We cut to the task force where they hear the news about the Kira killings starting again, and we see L thinking about his next moves.
The Shinigami insisted that it didn't know, but if someone were able to kill simply by writing a name on a torn piece of the notebook, it's not impossible.
Light asks if they can even charge Kira for murder if all they did was write a name in a notebook, and Rim realizes what Light has done.
What are you thinking, Light Yagami? Making Misa kill again. She'll be caught, and once that happens, you'll also be... So that's what your plan is.
Light is full Spider-Man 3 Peter Parker at this point.
What are you gonna do, Rem? You may be a Shinigami, but you can't hide the fact that you care for Misa. Come on, think about Misa's penis.
Opening back up, we see Light taking a stroll in the tower where he finds L standing in the rain.
What are you doing standing out there by yourself?
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
This scene is just great, and there are probably 40+ minute videos just breaking down the scene in particular.
Nothing I say makes any sense anyway. If I were you, I wouldn't believe any of it.
It's at this point that we see that L has fully given up and embraced the reality of death, and even though he knows that everything is ending soon, he still has to play his part.
Tell me, Light, from the moment you were born, has there ever been a point where you've actually told the truth?
Where's this coming from, Ryuzaki?
When L asks Light if he's ever told the truth in his life, it's like he's giving Light one last chance, and when he says that he knew Light would say that, it almost confirms L's theories.
I had a feeling you'd say something like that. Let's go back inside. We're both drenched.
We then get a scene that's probably some biblical allegory, but my brain is just too rotted to appreciate subtlety. Like, let me just play the audio from this scene with no visuals, and you'll see what I mean.
What are you doing?
I thought I might help you out. You were busy wiping yourself off anyway.
Look, it's fine. You don't have to do that.
I can give you a massage as well. It's the least I can do to atone for my sins. I'm actually pretty good at this.
When L is done with the foot rub, he leaves with cryptic words, and we get to the climax of the episode.
You and I will be parting ways soon. Yes?
The plan is to use a criminal who's about to be executed to write down the name of another criminal that's going to be executed to see how the death note works and if the 13-day rule is real.
To sacrifice our
We're
life.
very close. If we work this out, the entire case will be solved.
This is when the tears start to flow as the power goes out and we see that Rem has killed Watari, all the data has been deleted, and we see the end of L.
Time to die.
The scene is phenomenal, with L hearing church bells as he stares at Light, who has the biggest shit-eating grin on his face, and Rem turning into something that's neither sand nor rust, leaving behind a death note. Light then puts his facade into overdrive and starts challenging the already dead Rem before swiping the notebook from the pile of ash.
Where are you, Shinigami? Come out! Wait, Light, you know something about this, don't you? Come on out!
We better go and look too.
With everything that's been holding Light back out of the way now, Light takes control of the task force, and we end this episode with Light becoming the god of the new world.
I am the god of the new world.
So when I went to get screenshots for this section of the video, I discovered that the website I used has mysteriously disappeared, and all the other websites I tried were a little too sketch for me.
Alright, 5.9% over API. You don't get that every day.
Are you kidding? With API like that, I could just die.
Click on it.
Click it!
So that means that we're gonna have to crack out the actual manga for the rest of the series. When Light is getting his memories back from the Death Note, we see a bunch of manga pages making up a collage, and I'm not sure why it stood out to me. It might be because the style reminds me of the cutout newspaper articles on corkboard, but I like to think it's because of Ray William Johnson.
A video that makes you want to like go up and hug like a fluffy bunny or like a squirrel or like a Jewish guy, I don't know.
When Light is thinking about how he's won, we get somewhat of a hint on Rem's fate when Light thinks about being present when L dies and how Rem doesn't even know what's going on. During the flashback in the Lost Woods, Light tells Rem and Ryuk that the point of the notebook swap was to use Light's notebook since he made sure that there wasn't anything in or on it that would link back to him, whereas Misa's notebook could have fingerprints and all sorts of other DNA stuff. Light's notebook also has the rules written in English, which is a nice callback to literally the beginning of the series.
It just happened to fall around here and you just happened to pick it up. And that's all there is to it. That's why I wrote the instructions in English, the most popular language in the human world.
Also, the Lost Wood flashback covers more and continues in the manga. What I mean by the continuous part is in the anime we cut between Light in the helicopter and Light in the woods, but in the manga we stay in the woods and not only learn that Ryuk will be with Misa, but we also see Light's James Bond watch, and he talks about eating the paper after he's done so there won't be any evidence. Right before getting the paper from his watch, we get a scene of Light hyping himself up, and it's a great human moment for Light. Like, even though he likes to think of himself as a god, he still needs to give himself a metaphorical slap in the face to get himself ready. So I thought I knew what they were trying to do when Light talks about doing tests on the notebook. Like, I thought it was Light slipping up and L catching on to him, but after reading the manga, it's more like Light was trying to make some small talk so he would be able to hold on to the notebook for just a little bit longer. While L is stacking the coffee creamer, we see him thinking about the tapes Misa sent in, as well as the diary entry in Ray Penber, and a common thread with the manga is events still being brought up and being relevant, where the anime just kind of moves on to the next thing, and how the anime episodes are climaxes to what they've been building with Misa's musical scene. The manga is doing the same thing with L looking at all the evidence and everything from the beginning being brought back into play. The task force also get lab results that tell them that the notebook and the ink used to write the instructions are made from materials that aren't from this world, which solidifies the fact that Shinigami are indeed real, and this is also used to help exonerate Light and Misa from being Kira. In the manga, we get a scene where L is asking Rem about the Shinigami ideal, and Light essentially takes charge by revealing all of the information that Rem is allowed to talk about, and Rem basically just confirms Light's theories. After hearing this, L thinks about Misa and whether or not she knows his real name or would even be able to remember it after giving up ownership of the Death Note, so he asks Rem, but Rem just tells Elle that she doesn't know since she's not a human, so it doesn't affect her the same way. When Light is telling Misa to dig up the other Death Note, Aizawa comes in and turns off the monitor, telling Elle that he said he would stop monitoring them, and it kind of reinforces the idea that Elle has lost. Like, even if his intentions weren't to monitor Light, he still got backlash from other members of the task force, and it's as if Light has already won. The manga also spends more time on Misa's absolute despair at not being able to remember Elle's real name. Like, in the anime, it's almost played for laughs, where in the manga, Misa is genuinely upset at not being able to help Light, and it better sets up Misa's motivation in taking the ideal for a second time. When Ryuk is talking to Misa, he tells her not to feel bad because Light probably doesn't remember every name he wrote down, but then he realizes who he's talking about, so he quickly backpedals, and this makes Misa feel even worse about not being able to remember Elle's name. In the anime part of this video, I talked about how Light seemed genuinely upset with Misa for making the eye deal again, but in the manga we see that Light is almost expecting her to make the deal again so she could help him, which completely changes the following scene. We also get to see Ryuk's reactions, which reminds me just why Ryuk is so great. After telling Misa that she'll need to start writing down names for now, Light also reminds her about potential surveillance, which would most definitely be something Elle would do, even though he said he was done for realsies this time. We start off the next chapter of manga with the full art piece of Light in the Moon, which looks quite delightful. When Elle notices the ripped off page in the notebook, we also hear that things have been patched up with the Japanese police force and Chief Yagami is now chief again and might even be getting a promotion. But Elle is also thinking about why Light is sticking around, and he feels like things have been reversed and now Elle is the one under observation. We also get a scene where the task force is telling Elle to just move on from Misa, and it reinforces the idea of the tables being turned and Light pretty much running the show now. While Light isn't a hero in the anime, he really is a villain in the manga, especially when he's just delighted at the task force talking about executing the new Kira. Not only does the manga not have the scene of Misa walking around singing, which makes sense, but they also cut the scene on the roof and Elle washing Light's feet and go straight from Rem figuring out what Light is doing to Elle talking about testing the notebook. This means that the whole young Elle church bell thing is cut too, and honestly, I'm disappointed. Well, I'm not sure if disappointed is the right word, but the episode was so great, and the manga so far has been able to enhance my appreciation for the series. And with the striking artwork of the manga, there could have been some great panels of Light and Elle in the rain. Before Rem starts killing, she thinks about how she'll only have 40 seconds after writing down the first name, and she doesn't say to write down Watari and Elle's name, but she says to kill as many people as possible. I'm not sure if she's wanting to kill as many people as possible to lengthen Misa's lifespan the most she can before dying, or if Rem has just had enough and is planning on going out in a blaze of glory. While I prefer the anime episode for the added Elle scenes, I will say that the full page art of Elle falling out of his chair is great, and with how manga flows when you read it, it's almost like time freezes for a little when you flip to the page. Also, with Elle's dying moments, he thinks about how he was right all along but just wasn't able to connect the dots, and it hits you right in the feels, like the Twilight Zone episode about the dude with the glasses, or when Bobby Bacalati gets shot in The Sopranos. We end this manga the same way we ended the anime, with Light snagging Rem's notebook and assuming control of the task force. It's kind of unfortunate that the website I got screenshots from disappeared off the face of the earth, but it's been nice cracking open an actual book. Well, actual book, but still. This is the point in the series where most people think the shark was jumped, and that's what I remember, so it'll be interesting to see if the fall off is that immediate or if it'll take a few episodes. I mean, Elle was pretty much the second main character of the show, so it's not like when Ray Penber died. Elle left some big shoes to be filled, and from what I remember, Zero and Nier don't do that good of a job. I think this video is probably long enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my closing plugs. Check out the podcast I co-host with Arnie King called Honey for Your Thoughts. We upload new episodes every 2 weeks. Follow me on Instagram to get updates on videos and behind the scenes content. If you want to show your support, follow me on Patreon. Anyway, until next time, later. Hey, what's up? Editor Pimp Turkey here. So, you remember the joke in the beginning of this video about the vodka bender? Well, as it turns out, it really wasn't that much of a joke because I started making this video in 2024. Also, I said near and zero. I'm not sure where I got zero from. It's near and mellow. Who would forget a dumbass name like Mellow? Apparently me. I'm not sure when the next video will be out, but I'm gonna start working on a video going over Dark Measures, which is my personal favorite So Bad It's Good movie. Just to give you a little taste of what's to come, I'll go ahead and play my favorite scene of the entire movie.
You cocksucker!
Primo shit, am I right? Well, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you can see that video when it comes out. Anyway, until next time, for real this time, later.